Hello everyone. Let's proceed on to the next chapter, elections and representation of NCRT class 11 Indian Constitution at Work. There are two simple questions about elections and democracy. First one is, can we have democracy without holding elections? So election is a mechanism of mm, choosing an option to provide your input, an option to give your opinion, an option to express your perspective, or to choose a contender. And democracy concern it with itself with the rule of people. So if we equate both of them, they are inseparable. So can we separate them? Can democracy exist without election? Yes, it can if the size of population it is very less, say only a handful of people, and then we do not need to organize election. In such a case, the opinion of the handful of people, it can be taken via some simple mechanisms. But to have a larger democracy, elections or a method of undertaking people's opinion, it is necessary. And election is one such mechanism. Then the second question is, can we hold elections without having democracy? And yes, it can happen. Election is about choosing people's opinion, and sometimes sham elections, fake elections also happen in the name of democracy. So many dictatorship or many semi-democratic many countries from the Middle East, they they incline upon such behavior of such sham behavior, such fake behavior, in which elections are organized, but most of the votes they are already predestined. So even without democracy, elections can exist. These are two simple shorters. Let's proceed to the question. All citizens cannot take part in making every decision. Yes, especially if the size of population it is large. So, so people they elect their representatives, and it becomes necessary in democracy when the population size is large and people want to exercise their choices. So while the exercise of um, expressing their choices, it is their right, but people are also inclined according to their aptitude. They have different occupational structure, and the it is not feasible to take opinion of all the people together, especially in larger democracies, especially when the population base it is larger, it becomes really is insurmountable a problem. So the exercise of their choice it is done by choosing their representatives. Now there are direct and indirect democracies both. Direct democracies are are the democracies in which the choice of people it is exercised at a local level or exercised in proximity. When the population base it is not larger, and both the people and the elected both can face each other. In such a scenario, direct mechanisms, direct tools of democracy, they can be exercised, and such tools such as a plebiscite or referendum, or maybe just a simple exercise of raising their hand. So you might have exercised your option of raising your hand in one way or another. So it is a form of direct democracy. But indirect democracy, in which population size is larger, in such a case, elections or by any such mechanism in which the opinion of larger number of people that can be taken into account. So it is written that a kind of direct democracy cannot be practiced when a decision had to be taken by a lot of people, lakhs and crores of people. So that is why rule by the people usually means rule by people's representatives. So people, even the ruling by representative, it also means that people are ruling themselves, but instead of ruling it directly, they are doing it via their representatives. Then the method followed to choose these representatives is referred to as election, and in which citizens they will have limited role in taking major decisions, but those decisions are indirectly being taken by them through their representatives. The second question, that not all elections are democratic. Then there are a large number of non-democratic countries that also hold elections, and some of these semi-democratic and non-democratic rulers, they are very keen, very inclined to present themselves as democratic, especially the war economies, those economies who want to present themselves as free and fair so that foreign investment could be garnered. So they hold elections, but most of them are sham. What can be done to ensure that election in a country would be conducted in a democratic way? So we'll read about them. This is where the constitution comes in. So if the rules for conduction of election, if those rules are written, if those rules are uh, made constitutional or legal, in short, they are made binding, then those who are holding election, those who are trying to be elected, or those who are trying to make their place to the parliament, those people they are bound by such law. Now, mm, when such rules are written in constitution, so what else is written in there which makes them binding or which makes the whole exercise fruitful and fair? So the constitution that is keen on ensuring fair elections that will have all these points. First one is who is eligible to vote. This will be written here there. Then the eligibility criteria for contesting elections. Then the authority that is supervising those elections, and if their authority is free and fair and is accountable to the public. Then how are voters going to choose their representatives? It is by raising hand. It is a tool of direct democracy. Uh, is it referendum? Is it first past the post or proportional representation? The mechanism will be listed. Then how are the votes counted and results declared? So all such things would be written, and unless such things are clearly written, they are prone to misuse. Then talks about election system in India. So the election system in India that is followed is called as first past the post system. It's a kind of a race in which the aura or the organization of the event would be same that of a race in which many contenders would take part, and whoever crosses the race first, whoever breaches the area first, intended area first, that person is going to be declared victorious or elected. So here the overall activity, the turn of events all takes place same as an athletic race. So this first past the post system is similar. Whoever crosses the post first will be the victor, will be the elector. Now, Lok Sabha elections of 1914 have been talked about, in which Congress party it won 415 seats out of 443 seats allocated for Lok Sabha, which means Congress party it was elected in more than 80% of seats. So does this mean that the Congress party was chosen by 80% of the voters? No, that was not the case. Even though it won 80% of seats, it got only 48% of the votes. So it means only 48% of people were in favor of Congress. Only half the population were in favor of Congress, yet it managed to secure 80% of seats. That is because of first past the post system, FPTP system, and it happens in this way because even if the Congress it emerged the majority party, and even with only half the vote count, it secured 80% of seat. The reason of which is from every constituency there are many voters and many contenders for a particular seat, many political parties for a particular seat. So say a voter base, if it is 100%, now if 48% has been gone to Congress, so out of 100 people, 48 people chose Congress, and now 42 choices, 42 voters are still there, but these 42 did not go to a single person. So say BJP it gets 7% vote, then AIDMK it gets 2 votes, then Akali Dal it gets 5 votes. In such a way, the remaining 42 it splits up. Because of this splitting up, whoever get the highest margin will be elected. So if if it was just the case of contention between two political parties, just in case of America where only Democrat and Republicans fight. So if that was the case, the other contender, whoever it was before Congress, say BJP, and if voter did not have these many possibilities, there were only two choices. In such a case, 48 would go to Congress and 52 would go to BJP or any other party who is contending against it. Then it would have the highest number of votes. So that's the you can say system that works in here in India. Now there are some facets of components of this system which are written here. First, entire country is divided into 543 constituencies, and every constituency elects one representative, and then the candidate who secures the highest number of votes in a constituency is declared elected. And the another one more point is that voters have choices. Voters have choices, and because of these choices, there are many contenders. And when contenders are many, the votes they may split up. So say a particular seat is contested by 10 people, and the voters there are 100 voters in a particular area or particular constituency. Now those 10 contestants They are fighting for that particular seat. A, B, C, D, E. Now, say A got 12 votes, B got 10 votes. Rest of all except the last one, 10, he got 9 votes. So, 8 votes. Okay, so this will equal up to 100. So now this is this is a likely scenario of first past the post system in which 10 contestants are being chosen by 100 voters, and the vote it may split up this way, in which A got 12 votes and the other voters they are also favored by other contestants, they are also favored by voters, but still A has got the highest vote, 12 votes. There isn't a lot of difference between what A and B got. The difference may be minute, but since A has managed to secure the highest number of votes, the majority votes, then A is going to be elected and the rest of them they need to leave the contestant, leave the contest. Now the winning candidate need not secure a majority of votes. Yes, you did not need to secure 50% of or 50% plus 1. You did not need to secure this number. It's just that if you crosses the winning pole first, if your number count it is more than the other candidate, any other candidate, then you are going to be elected. This method is also called the plurality system. Then talks about proportional representation, which is also one of the method to elect representatives, which is followed in Israel and Netherlands. So in Israel, what happens once the overall total votes are counted, each party that is contesting the election, they are allotted the share of seats in the parliament in proportion to its share of votes. So if the same scenario happens here, so first past the post and PR. Now say there are 100 voters in both the situation and contestants, there are 4 contestants A, B, C and D, and the contestants can be individual or political parties. Now the votes are split in this way that A got 30 votes, B got 29 votes, C got 20 votes, and this will be equal to, and D got 21 votes. It will be equal to 30, 60 and 40. Okay, and the same scenario happens here, 30, 29, 20 and 21. The vote shares are equal in both counts in first past the post and the proportional representation. Voter base is also same. This has been kept so that you understand this topic in better way. Now, in the first past the post or the Indian case, A will be declared elected and the rest of them they need to wait for another such opportunity. But in the case of proportional representation such as Israel or Netherlands, in this case the the seats they will be allotted in proportion to the number of votes that have been garnered by each of the candidates. So in this case, the seats they would split between them. So A would get 30% of seats, B would get 29% of seats, C 20%, and D he will get 21% of seats. This is the difference between first past the post and proportional representation. And now here in this case, I have uh, taken only one seat at a time, and proportional representation, it is counted collectively at the final level when all the seats for parliament are taken into account. So, but in case of India, all 430 seats would be elected in the same manner, that each constituency, it uh, will organize its election in this manner. Voter will exercise their choice based on their preferences, and whoever is able to cross the post first, whoever is able to get the highest number of votes will be elected, and this is how it will all of such seats, they will end up in the final avenue, that is parliament. But in case of proportional representation, individual seats, they are not counted, and the final seats here that are going to be counted in parliament, they will be counted, they will be allotted on the basis of number of votes that has been won by or secured by each of the candidate. This is how both first past the post and PR system works. Now there are two variations of PR system, like Israel and Netherlands, in which entire country is treated as one constituency. Yes, that's the major difference here. Here each constituency is treated as an and in itself. So each constituency is counted as one. That's why whoever secures the highest vote in each constituency, he is declared elected, and the rest of the candidates, their vote share are not counted. But in case of PR, here single constituencies, they are not counted. The whole country, whole nation, it is counted as one constituency, and then the vote share, whichever they are distributed among the choices of voters on the basis of the votes secured by each political party or each candidate. That's the core difference. Each country is treated as one constituency, and seats are allotted to each according to its share of votes. And other method, and when country is divided into several multi-member constituencies such as Argentina or Portugal, then each party prepares a list of candidates for each constituency depending on how many have to be elected for their constituency. And this is uh, a middle way between first past the post system and PR, in which whole country, it is divided into many constituencies, these, let's say, these four constituencies. And now during election, each political party that is contesting the election, they prepares a list of candidates, say ABCD, for each constituency, and then voters secures their choices. And now when voters exercise their preference for a party, such votes are counted on in the final, in the end, and then on the basis of the vote secured, on the basis of votes secured by each political party, the seats, they are distributed among the choices of voters, or distributed on the basis of votes secured by each political party in each constituency. Now, an example of PR in Israel have been given, in which election to legislature, which is known as Knesset, the parliament there, it is known as Knesset. It takes place every 4 years, and then every party declares a list of candidates, but voters, they vote only for party and not for candidates. Then a party, it gets seats in the legislature in proportion to the votes that are polled by it. Then if a particular party, it wins such and such seats, those seats that they will be distributed, they will be given to the candidate whose list it has published or declared prior to elections. This system has benefit because this will allow smaller parties or people with even smaller support base to get a place in legislature. So as was in case of the first past the post system, in which we said A got 38 votes, B got 29 votes, C got 20 and D got 21. So here the situation is A is elected, yes, but uh, by electing A, who secured only 30% of the voter base, 30% of votes, the other B, C, and D, if I'm only talk about B only here, so B is likely to lose a lot because there is not a lot of difference between the votes secured by A and those of B, but still B is going to wait for another opportunities and without any fault of his own. So in this case, if any mechanism that could be ensured in which you you get a seat in legislature or your vote share or whatever whichever votes you have secured, your vote share is counted in, irrespective whether you secure the highest vote or the lowest vote. It this gives a chance to all the people, especially in this case, in in which B who is just one vote less, but he needs to sit back this time if we are talking about first past the post system. But the PR system, it it does not discriminate. In which B will get 29% of seats according to the vote share he has accumulated. So this is a win-win situation. This may be tough, but yeah, it provides justice to all the people. Then the another uh, element of PR system in Israel is that a party must get a minimum of 1.5% votes in order to eligible to get seats in the legislature. These are the minimum criteria that each party holds. Otherwise, every party who is holding election without securing any vote, they may seek their entry in legislature. So 1.5 is a barrier to their entry. Then constitution our constitution, it has prescribed a third and complex variation of PR system for the election of president, vice president, election of Rajya Sabha and Vidhan Parishad. So all indirect elections, they are done by PR system in India, PR proportional representation by method of single transferable vote, which is the third variation of PR system. Now let's look at the comparison between first past the post and PR system. So first past the post, a country, it is divided into small geographical units called political constituencies, whereas in PR, large geographies, they are demarcated, counted as constituency. Sometimes whole country, in case of Israel, is counted as a constituency, as a single constituency. Then in first past the post, every constituency, it elects one representative. But in case of PR, more than one representative, they may be elected from one constituency It depends upon the vote secured. So let's take an example of 30 and 29. So in this case, both of them, they, even the 20 and 21, all of them, they will get their seats. So if you take the example of Israel, so any political party that is securing more than 1.5% votes, say a political party that has secured 2% of votes, so they will get their seats allocated on the basis of this dimension. Now, in case the first past voters, they vote for candidates. Sometimes they may vote for party, but ultimately they are voting to choose one candidate. But in case of PR, voters, they vote for party. They vote to boost the overall voter percentage or voter count of a particular party. Then a party may get more seats than votes in legislature in case of first past the post, such as the 1941 1984 election, in which the then Congress government, the Rajiv Gandhi government, after the assassination of Indira Gandhi, so he secured 415 out of 543 seats. It means he secured 80% of seats, but his vote share was just 48%. Had it been the case of PR, or had it been Israel, Congress party would have gotten only 48% of seats in proportion to 48% of votes that has been secured by it. Now, here, candidate who wins the election may not get majority. So it is not necessary for each candidate to secure more than 50% plus one. So it is not majority, or securing more than half plus one is not necessary in case of first past the post. This system is prevalent in UK and India. And now in case of PR, every party gets seats in legislature in proportion to the percentage of voter that it gets. So 48% votes, it means 48% of seats for a particular party. Then candidate who wins the election gets majority of votes in PR, and examples are Israel and Netherlands. Now let's talk about how PR system in Rajya Sabha election, PR system in Rajya Sabha in the election of president, of vice president, and Vidhan Parishad work. So we are talking about the third variation of proportional representation, that is representation by single transferable vote. Single transferable vote means your vote will be transferred, and only one vote at a time will be transferred. So how this transmission mechanism work, let's have a look. So third variant of PR, single transferable vote, is followed in Rajya Sabha elections. Now every state has a specific quota of seats in Rajya Sabha. So say, let's take the example of Rajasthan. So Rajasthan has been allocated 10 seats in Rajya Sabha. This is the specific quota that is being talked about here. Then these Rajya Sabha members, these 10 Rajya Sabha members from Rajasthan, they will be elected by respective state legislative assembly, that is the Vidhan Sabha of Rajya Sabha, SLA, State Legislative Assembly of, of Rajasthan. So, and there are 200 members in the State Legislative Assembly of Rajasthan, in Vidhan Sabha of Rajasthan. So these 200 MLAs, they will elect these 10 Rajya Sabha members. And now the mechanism is Uh, the voters are the MLA in that state, and then every voter is required to rank candidate according to his or her preference. So that preference will be counted here. And now to declare the winner, a candidate must secure a minimum quota of votes. So the formula to declare a winner is the total vote polled by a candidate divided by total number of candidates to be elected plus 1 and plus 1. So let's have a look at this one. PR3 Rajya Sabha, Rajasthan have been given 10 seats in Rajya Sabha, and the voters, MLAs in Rajasthan, they are 200. So 200 voters are going to elect 10 voters, and now the voting, it will be done by the method of PR, proportional representation, and the variant is single transferable vote. So in this case, each of each of the MLA that are voter in this process, they will be given a choice, given a ballot paper in which they need to mark their choices. So let's say these three MLAs filling their ballot papers or exercising their preferences. So in case of the first MLA, he has marked A his first position, B his fourth position, C his third position, D his second position. Now the second voter, second MLA, he has given A his fourth position, B third position, C first position, and D second position. And now next come to third MLA, he has given A third position, B first position, C second position, and D fourth position. And then comes another fourth MLA, and his preferences will be A first, B second, C three, D four. And now the winning formula will be votes that been polled total candidates plus 1 and then plus 1. So say in case of Rajya Sabha seats for Rajasthan, total votes that have been polled, so 200 votes will be polled. Say 200 MLAs were available at the time of election. Then total candidate that need to be selected. So Rajasthan has been given 10 seats. So 10 candidates plus 1 and then plus 1. So this will be 200 upon 11 plus 1, which somehow, which in approximation nears around 3 votes. Sorry, 30 votes. I'm sorry, it's a calculation. It's 19 votes. So every candidate who has taken part in this election, he needs to secure this minimum quota, this minimum number of votes to take part in election, the minimum quota to be elected. And if any candidate has failed to secure these votes, so his votes, they will be transferred to others on the basis of choices. So at first this minimum quota, it needs to be met. And now let's talk about these four candidates. So in this case, if we talk about A, so Here the preferences they are chosen, how many people have given their first preference to A. So the first voter and the second voter. So two people have given A their first preferences. Now let's talk about B. How many people have given B its first preference? So one person has given him the first preference. Now the same with C. So one person has given C its first preference, and D. So D has not been given any preference. So out of the race of the four, these three, A, B, and C, they have been given first preference, and if they meet the minimum quota, they will get ahead in the race. And D, who has not secured any first preference, now his votes they will be transferred, and the elimination of D it happens in this way that his votes, since he has failed to get any first preference vote, so this zero here. So since the voter count in this example it is also a limited version, since all the 200 ballot papers cannot be expressed here. So this minimum quota, it is about the minimum quota of first preferences. Every candidate need to get at least 19, in case of Rajasthan, at least 19 first preferences. This is the minimum quota that need to be fulfilled to get ahead. So the limited version here is, since A has got two first preferences, B and C they both got one each, and let's say in case of this limited representation, only one is the minimum quota. So all of them they fulfill the criteria. They got one first preference. So minimum quota has been fulfilled, and they can get ahead with further round. Now D, since he have not secured any vote, his vote they will be transferred, and they will be transferred uh, to the candidate who secured the second preference. So his vote will be transferred to both C. C has got second preference by third MLA, and B, he has got second preference by fourth MLA. So his vote they will be transferred to both C and D. And then the rounds will go on, and then again second preference will be counted, and if the minimum quota of second preference will not be met, one will be eliminated, or few such will be eliminated. And then this is how ultimately one winner from a particular seat it will be selected, or in case of Rajya Sabha from Rajasthan, 10 such candidate will be elected. This is the mechanism by which single transferable vote of proportional representation works. Of the examples is given here, but it is talking about 4 Rajya Sabha members only, but there are 10 seats for Rajya Sabha. So here, if 4 Rajya Sabha members have to be elected by 200 MLAs in Rajasthan, winner would require 41 votes. Then the votes will be counted on the basis of first preference vote. And same, if here, if there had been 10 Rajya Sabha members here, the minimum quota it would come down to 19 votes. Now, first preferences will be counted. So whoever secure the minimum quota on basis of first preference will get ahead. If after the counting of all first preference votes, required number of candidates fail to fulfill the quota, if there are some candidates such as D in example which secures 0 first preference vote, the candidate with the lowest first preference will be eliminated, and his votes will be transferred to the second preference, and this process will continue till the required number of MLAs, required number of seats, 4 or 10, whichever they are found. Then comes the question, why did India adopt the first past the post system? So the answer is not difficult. PR system it is a complicated system which may work in a small country, but in a big country like India, this first it is very complex, complicated process, and the population size it will not prefer this. And the success and popularity of first past the post system is its simplicity. Voters simply have to go and click on a button or exercise their choice in terms of a particular candidate, which is extremely simple, and there isn't need for any voter awareness or the complexity of decision making. Then there is also clear choice that is presented to voters. So in PR, voters are, they may be candidates that are declared by each political party, but voters vote for political parties only in case of PR. But in case of first past the post system, voters have a clear choice. They know the elector, they know the contestants, they know, and they will know the person who is going to be elected. So it is the proximity, it is the nearness which make it very simple and which makes first past the post system a compelling choice for people. Then the other reason that makers of a constitution they felt that PR-based election may not be suitable for giving a stable government in a parliamentary system in our country, because same case here, if A got 30 vote, B got 29 vote, C got 28 vote. Let's say this is the case of an election outcome in a particular election. So here we talk about both the variation, the first past the post and PR. It is about India and Israel both. Now the difference of the government that is going to be formed in the center. So in Indian case, it is simple. A, A, whether it is a political party or a group of candidates, they have crossed the course. They have secured the highest winning post. So because of which A will form government. Whether they secure the highest number of votes does not matter. But in case of PR, here the government it will be shared by A, B, and C on the basis of votes shared by them. So all of these three political party they will be um, eh, they will be forming a government together. Now these political party they may be of different nature or they may be of different inclination, and then in such a scenario stability of government cannot be ensured, since it is likely that if the reins of government are given to a single party who has been chosen by many people, and then a government that is manned by three different sections. So the scenario of stability, it can be imagined by any person, any sane people, and the difference is they can be easily gauged. A single a government that is manned by a single party and a government that is manned by three different versions, and it is not difficult to come up at the conclusion that the first past the post system it is likely to provide a stable government more than what PR system can provide. Then let's talk about the reservation of constituencies. In first past post, The candidates the candidate who secures the highest vote in a particular constituency is declared elected. Now, this comes at the disadvantage of smaller social sections or uh, smaller or sections with a smaller social base. And this becomes significant in the Indian context as well when we look at the caste-based discrimination and different the diversity of culture that exists here, the the presence of minorities everywhere, some of which may not form a large section in a particular constituency. In that case, the call for PR has always been made. Then the first past the post electoral system, it can mean that the dominant social group and caste they will keep winning everywhere and oppressed people they continues to continue to remain unrepresented or underrepresented. And this could have become a likely scenario since cultural diversity in India it is visibly significant. So much so that even in a particular religion, even in a particular caste, they are subcastes. They are there are differences among people on the basis of religion, on basis of regions, on the basis of languages, on basis of cultural and even dietary practices. Then, in such a case of humongous cultural diversity, and that coupled with uneven distribution of population, that means some people from a particular caste they may be majority at one place, but they may become a minority at another place. And when we talk about religious and cultural minorities, they are minorities everywhere. Since and if we look at the overall scenario, because on the basis of their distribution, they become a minority further. So the concern and curiosity here, because this becomes a good question for mains examination, and this need to be looked at from various angles, because here the minds of constitution makers it becomes visible. So the question of unrepresentation or underrepresentation was there during the constitution was being formed. So middle way or solution was to give representation to these sections or to reserve seats for these candidates irrespective of their locality. Now, we have a precedent here. The British government, before independence, they introduced separate electorates for such people, separate electorates for Muslims, for backward castes, for Sikhs. So it was the meaning of separate electorate is that the voters and the electors both are from one community. So just say the Muslim electorate that was introduced and the Morley mentor reforms. So in that separate electorate, only Muslim could elect a Muslim elector. Only so the voters were also Muslim and they were electing a Muslim representative. In the same way, when they introduced the separate electorate for backward classes, backward caste, it was protested by Gandhi, and then was a middle way was found in 1932. Uh, Therefore, it was decided to adopt a system of reserve constituency in 1932 that all voters in a constituency are eligible to vote, but the candidate must belong to a particular community or social section for which the seats are reserved. So the reserve constituency, it is a special mechanism of separate electorate. So in the former case, in the case of separate electorate, both the voters and the contestants both belong to a particular community. But in case of reserve constituency or reserve seats, voters they are general. All the voters they elect a candidate from a particular community. So this was the variation reservation of constituency that that was um, that was devised to give seats to the underrepresented. Then next come then there are certain social groups they which may spread across country. So in a particular constituency, their number may not be sufficient to able to influence a victory, since numbers numbers hold this way. Numbers have the power to sway the balance of an election in favor or disfavor. And for disadvantaged people, unprivileged people, or the minorities, this number equation, especially when seen in the mechanism of election that we chose, the first past the post system. So this becomes a deadly group or a failed combination since they do not have the numbers. So if a person from scheduled caste, if he is standing up for an election, even mm, his seats are reserved, he his voter base is almost negligible. In that case, how is he going to secure votes from other castes or going to secure vote from an atmosphere that is not likely to see him winning? So to overcome this feature, to overcome such the travesty of number game, the constitution has come up with um, a generalization. Generalization by means that a particular community they may be less in a particular location, but when seen at the national level or seen across the India, they may form a sizable group. And in that case, they are seats that are reserved in both Lok Sabha and state legislative assembly for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So this is a generalizing mechanism since they may not be able to secure votes from their particular location. So when all the seats, all their pockets of their existence and dwelling, if they are counted, and the seats that are reserved in the center, whether it is state legislature or the central legislature, it would have a generalizing effect. Then the reservation of seats, it was marked for 10 years, then it has been extending and still in recent delimitation, it has also been extended further. Now, out of 443 seats, 79 are reserved for scheduled castes and 41 are reserved for scheduled tribe on the basis of their population in proportion to their population. Then who decides which constituency is to be reserved? This question uh, is important. And on what basis is this decision taken? So this decision is taken by an independent body called Delimitation Commission, and this commission is appointed by the President of India and works in collaboration with the Election Commission. And it is appointed for the purpose of drawing up boundaries of constituency all over the country. So this commission, it keeps shuffling those constituency, it keeps rotating those reserve constituency. Then a quota of constituency to be reserved in each state is fixed depending upon the population in that state. So say overall 79 seats are to be given to scheduled castes at the Lok Sabha levels, in the central legislature. Now these 79 seats they are spread across all over India, and for a particular state based on the population of scheduled caste. Yes, to say the scheduled caste population here, Tamil Nadu. So in right now, Tamil Nadu has a specific seats, say 11 seats for scheduled caste candidates. Now these seats will be rotated according to the proportion of population. Now after drawing the boundaries, delimitation commission look at the composition of population in each constituency, and those constituencies that have highest number of scheduled tribes, they are reserved for STs. And in case of scheduled caste, it looks at two things. First, it picks constituency that have higher proportion of scheduled caste population. So you can say in the central Indian belt, in the northeast India, the scheduled caste community, it is negligible. And there are many pockets where scheduled castes are not there. There are many pockets such as Haryana where scheduled tribe, they are not scheduled tribe. So the delimitation commission, it picks up those constituency with significant scheduled caste population. Then it spread this constituency in different regions of the state. So say Tamil Nadu, a sizable scheduled caste population lives there, but the delimitation commission, it tries to spread those seats in all the area, all the pocket, and this is how rotation of seats is done in every election. Then the reserve constituency can be rotated each time the delimitation exercise is taken. Then there has been demand for reserving one-third seats for women. Women have been given one-third seats in rural and urban local bodies, that is in Panchayati Raj institution. So these institutions, they are known by Gram Panchayat at the village level and urban local bodies at town or cities level. Now let's talk about free and fair election. The first thing is universal franchisee and right to contest. Universal franchisee, universal adult franchisee, it means everyone who reaches a particular an age that has been decided by people together, all such people, they are eligible to vote. And one thing that is especially good about India is in other countries, when compare India to other countries, other such country, they had to uh, fight a long battle to secure the right to vote, to secure the universal adult franchisee. But in case of India, the Indian nationalist leader, they provided it itself at the onset of constitution, after the adoption of constitution. So with the coming in effect of constitution itself, we have been given uh, a right to vote that was available universally. And till 1989, anyone who was 21 or 21 plus was given a right to vote. But after an amendment in 1989, this age was reduced to 18. So now 18 plus are eligible to vote. And for participation, there are some age groups, but they are not many or not severe. In order to contest for Lok Sabha and Assembly election, a person may be at least 25 years old, and this and coupled with other few restrictions, they are not glaring or not any uh, severe restriction that stop anyone from joining any legislature, whether it is a state legislature or union legislature. Yes, but there are some legal. provisions are there, such as any person who has undergone imprisonment for 2 years or more, they are disqualified from contesting election. And if you are not mentally sane, or if you are dissolvable, or you are reeling under that, in such those conditions or those criteria, uh, they are well thought out, and those criteria, they seem justified. But other than that, no severe restriction, no unjustified criteria are there. Even if you are at least 25 years old and you are mentally sane and you are not criminally convicted in any case, you are likely to enter the Indian Parliament or any state legislature without discrimination on basis of income, education, class, gender, or place. And let's talk about Independent Election Commission. So, Constitution has provided for an independent election commission to supervise and conduct election. And this has been written in Article 324, in which the superintendent's direction and control of the preparation of electoral rolls and conduct of all election to parliament and legislature of every state, and the election of office of president and vice president. So also the election, the general election to the parliament, to election to the Vidhan Sabha of every state, the election of president, vice president, the Rajya Sabha election, all are conducted by election commission. Then, to assist the Election Commission of India, there is a chief electoral officer in each state. Election Commission is not responsible for conduct of local body election. The local bodies here means Panchayati Raj institution, Gram Panchayat, and urban local bodies such as town committees, municipal corporation, municipalities. So the elections of those are conducted by state election commissioners. Then Election Commission of India has been a single member till 1989, and after that, it, there are two election commissioner that has been appointed and assisted the commission since then. If there is a sharp difference of opinion between chief election commissioner and the other commissioner, the matter can be settled by Supreme Court. And as a matter of power, all the three commissioners, whether the chief or the other commissioner, they have equal powers. And all of them, they are appointed by the President of India on the advice of Council of Ministers. They have a security of tenure which is 6 years or the age of 65, and they can be removed before the expiry of their term by the President of India if both the houses of Parliament make such a recommendation with a special majority. This is done to ensure that a ruling party cannot remove a CEC, which here means Chief Election Commissioner, who refuses to favor it in the election. Now I have recalled the principle of checks and balance here. So principle of checks and balance is that the constitution, it has distributed the power in such a way that all the organs of government, whether it is legislature, executive, or judiciary, do not encroach upon each other's power, or none of these branches, they they secure immense power by themselves to the detriment of others. So such sharing of power, this is known as principle of checks and balance. So now the appointment and removal of chief election commissioner, it is done on the basis of principle of checks and balance. Now executive, when we talk about executive, we are talking about Council of Minister, and political executives. Or you can differentiate it between two kinds of executive, political and permanent. Now, political executives are council of minister or group of minister, which we often known as government. So this council of minister is prime minister and his ministers, which forms council of minister. And permanent executives are the secretaries of government of India, the secretary for which you are working, such as IAS, IPS, uh, Central Secretariat Services, all such 24 services, and the highest elites of which included as they are promoted as secretaries and they form the permanent executive. So this is the overall structure of executive. Mostly uh, we call we call this whole apparatus as government, but government, it is composed of all three branches: legislature, executive, and judiciary. Now let's talk about legislature. So in the central case on the union level, it is known as parliament, and legislature at parliament, it is composed by Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and president. So president is a common entity that is part of both legislature and executive, because in this in this whole apparatus, president sits at the top. Every decision has to be taken in the name of president, and every authority is flow, or you can say every authority is sanctioned by him under his name and signature. So in the case of appointment and removal of chief election commissioners, as you as you have seen, they are appointed by the president. So president here, while appointing, he works as the member of executive, and now they are removed by president by a special majority that is presented by both the houses. So this is the principle of checks and balance. Since the president, on the behalf of council of ministers, he may work in the favor of the political party that is manned by the council of ministers, because he is a part of the council of minister, he is a part of executive, and he is also constitutionally bound to exercise on the advice of council of minister. But yet, to rally out such a disfavor, the constitution, it has, by the mechanism of checks and balances, it has ensured that even if the executive or the president, it appoints a chief election commissioner or election commission in general, it it cannot remove it, it cannot uh, step it step it out because of some political disfavor, or because the election commission, it is not working on the whims of a particular political party. So its appointment is done by executive, but its removal, it will be done by the legislature. The final signature on both counts will be of the president, but here two branches of government, they work in tandem, and that's how the principle is balanced, that how the powers of each other that are checked. Now the functions of Election Commission of India. First, it supervises the preparation of voters list. Then it determines the timing of election and prepares the election schedule, which includes first the notification of election, then the date from which notifications can be filed, the last date of filing nominations, the last date of scrutiny, last date of withdrawal, date of polling, date of counting, and declaration of results. and it can also postpone or cancel an election in an entire country or a specific state or a single constituency on the ground that atmosphere is vitiated. And it also implement a model code of conduct for political party, to which they need to abide by during the whole polling process. Then one more thing, this model code of conduct, it is not binding, but political party and the Constitution of India, the Election Commission, both of which they somehow balance this out. And if any political party it breaches the model code of conduct in a glaring way, it is bound to suffer at the hands of election commission, and election commission also keeps a tight nose on the behavior of political parties, especially while the whole poll process is going on. And further, it can also order a repoll in a specific constituency. So by this power, the political party, they also uh, keep themselves tracked upon how the model code of conduct should be held. Then the election commission also recognizes political party and allot symbol to them. And in any case, if there is dispute regarding uh, the recognition or allotment of symbol to any political party, this decision is settled by Supreme Court. Election Commission does not have a lot of staff of its own, but it helps with the it conducts election with the help of administrative machinery. And once the election process has begun, the commission has control over the administration as far as election results are concerned. These are some basics. Now, these two situations are given in which the election commission is to face the situation of holding out a free and fair election, and for that matter, it postponed election midway in 1991 when Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated. Then in 2002, during Godha riots, Gujarat elections could not be conducted, and the same way, uh, any right-prone area or any area in which riots, violence is there, election commission, it can postpone the election. It has the right. Then let's talk about electoral reforms. The election or the machinery that is going on, the system that is working on for 75 years, it also needs reform. Some of the reforms that have been suggested by various people, and one such is to change the system of election from first past the post to some variant of proportional representation, so that different political party or different political group they can get their seats based on the votes they ensure or votes they secure. Then there has been demand to give one-third seats to women in both parliament and state assemblies. Then there have been calls to take take a hit upon action on the role of money and extortion in politics. Then there have also been talk to debar candidates with criminal cases from entering or contesting elections. Then another suggestion is to completely ban the use of caste and religious appeals in while asking for votes. And then it has also been suggested that there should be a law to regulate the functioning of political party and ensure that they function in democratic manner, which in short to make the model code of conduct binding and giving election commission more teeth, so that a free and fair election, not only free and fair election, but uh, a really democratic situation could be ensured. Then, apart from legal reform, there are two other ways of ensuring that elections reflect the expectations and democratic aspiration. First, people themselves have to be more vigilant, and they need to be involved in political activities. But such activities, such engagement, it need to be uh, need to be justified on the grounds of reasonable restriction. That your engagement in any political activity, it should not come at the cost of others' freedom, and at the other time, the vigilance of people, it should be in such a way that the government, there, it should not follow a hard-handedness approach or hard-handed approach, which means um, the the charges of preventive detention that we talked in the last chapter, in which a person could be detained on mere suspicion. And this provision, it has been misused a lot many times, and recently there have been cases of arrests of activists and journalists. So this vigilance, it need to be there. If the vigilance, if people are not vigilant, if people are not politically active, in that case, government may encroach upon their simple lives. That's it. Thank you very much. Kindly subscribe the channel.